Hi friends, welcome to our channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to use JPA in case of Spring Boot by using embedded H2 database. Already in our previous video, we have discussed about how to create Spring Boot MVC web application by using STS IDE, as well as we have discussed difference between Spring and Spring Boot framework. So as we know already, in case of Spring Boot, no configuration file, and by default Spring Boot will come with its own embedded Tomcat and embedded H2 database. So now what I am going to do, I am going to show one simple example, Spring Boot with JPA by using embedded H2 database. So first let me create a Spring Boot project. So I'm just creating a Spring starter project. It is fetching a data from Spring initializer, and I will say that yes, I want to create a Maven and I want to work with Java 8 version, and yes, I'm going to work on a web application. So I will be selecting war and I will select the languages Java. So here I will be entering my package name. Let it be com.valan, and so here also I will say the package name is com.valan, and I have to use some project name. So let me say it is Spring Boot JPA with H2 database. So this project is already exist. So what I will do, I will give some other name. Let it be -1. So I have months and everything. I have selected all those things. So now I will click next. So here I have to select my dependencies. In our previous video, we were working on a web application, so we have selected only web dependency. But right now my intention is I want to work with JPA as well as H2 database. So I will be selecting the dependency. So in your case, if you are not getting these dependencies here, you can filter it. You can just type JPA. So you will be getting a JPA. Same way you can filter H2, you will be getting the H2 database. So finally, from that list, I am adding three dependency, one for Spring Web, another one for JPA, and the last one for H2 database. So now let me click on finish. It will be creating my project. And in our last video itself, already we have discussed Spring Boot is mainly for microservices. So by default, it will not be supporting JSP. To support JSP, we have added a dependency called Jasper dependency. I'm just copying that Jasper dependency from my existing project so that in the beginning itself I can complete all my dependencies. So now my project is ready. So this is my project, Spring Boot JPA H2-1. So I will open my pom.xml file. I will add this Jasper dependency so that all my dependency will be ready. I have added dependency for Jasper. So now I think I can close my pom.xml file. Yes, hereafter we are not going to use our pom.xml file. So first what I am going to do, inside my src main work, let me create one JSP. I will say the JSP name is, let it be landing page dot JSP. So my page name is landing page dot JSP. So in this JSP, I am going to create my GUI to accept employee ID. Let's say input type equal to text and name of the text box is ID. Let me put it in a table so that I will be getting a neat alignment. Just to get the neat alignment, I'm enclosing all my GUI inside a table, and I will display the table in a center of the page. The same way I will define a text box to accept employee name as well as salary. Employee name, salary. And for the second text box, I will name it as name, and the third text box, I will name it as salary. So now everything is ready. I have to make one more GUI, but my submit button. I will say input type equal to submit. Value of this button is, I will make it as add employee. Hope friends who are able to follow me. Finally, my GUI part is over. I mean, my landing page is over. So this landing page, what it is doing, it is accepting employee ID, name, salary as a input. So the moment I click the submit button, my intention is I want to send this, or I want to insert this employee object into my H2 embedded H2 database with the help of JPA. So JPA is nothing but it's Hibernate only. So already in our previous video we have discussed Hibernate. So you know how to insert a employee object and how to make a mapping with the help of annotation. So those things already we have discussed in our uh, Hibernate video itself. Anyhow, I will be giving all the links in the description. In case if you haven't watched Hibernate or Spring MVC, so all the links will be available in the description. You can watch it. So finally, my landing page is ready. So now I need to make my controller. I'm just creating a new class. under a separate package called com.valan.controller. So here I will give a name of my controllers, let it be my controller, and then click finish. So in that controller, I will be using a annotation at the rate controller, which is same as our previous video, nothing but Spring MVC, Spring Boot MVC. And because of this annotation, now it will become my controller. So here I have to make a request mapping to launch my landing page. I will say request mapping, let it be, the mapping name is, let it be landing page, and I will define a method which is returning model and view. I will say the method name is call landing page. So I will be initializing my model and view object, and I will set the view name as landing page, and I will be returning this model and view object. Now in my property file, I have to specify what is my embedded Tomcat port number. That I will specify over here. Let it be my embedded Tomcat port number is 1212. And also I have to specify my suffix of view page, spring.mbc.view.suffix equal to .jsp. Up to this much we have done in our Spring Boot MVC itself. So now in that property file, I'm going to add some more property to enable my H2 database. Spring dot H2 console dot enabled equal true. I'm enabling my embedded Tomcat H2 database console. So after that, I have to set my data source URL. Spring dot data source URL is, I will say my database URL is JDBC colon H2 database, and I'm going to connect with the database as in memory, nothing but my embedded database. I'm connecting as in memory, so that's why I'm using this word mum. It will be working as a in-memory database, which means it will not physically take any memory from my machine. It will be taking a memory from the RAM. And I have to specify my database name. Let it be my database name is Bala. Finally, to work on a embedded H2 database, we have added two property in our property file. One is enable H2 console, another one is my database URL. So what is my database name? It is Vala. So now let us save everything and let us confirm our Maven dependencies. Yes, in Maven dependencies already we have added H2 database dependency as well. Yes, we have a H2 database. Also, we have our embedded Tomcat. You can see I also have my embedded Tomcat as well. So which means all the dependencies are added correctly in my pom.xml file. So now everything is ready. So now what I am going to do, before writing a JPA code, first I am going to check whether my application is launching my landing page, as well as I will verify whether I am able to connect with my embedded H2 database. So let us run and we'll verify it. So once everything is fine, we will be start writing our JPA code. I will say run as Spring Boot app. Yes, it has started my application successfully. I will go to my external browser, and in the browser I will say I want to access localhost colon. Right now my Tomcat port number is 1212 slash. I have given a request mapping in my controller as landing page. The moment I say landing page, it has to launch landing page.jsp. So let me give that request mapping landing page. You can look at the output. Yes, it is displaying my landing page correctly. So which is having three text box and one submit button. So let me do one thing. Let me align this submit button as center. So that the output will be a little more neat. So I will say call span equal to 2, and I will say align equal to center. Now it has launched my landing page. Now I have to check whether my H2 console is enabled or not, and this URL is created or not. So let us see how to access our H2 console. It's same. I will say localhost colon. My Tomcat port number is 1212 slash H2 hyphen console is the request mapping to access our embedded H2 database console. H2 hyphen console. Let us press enter key. Yes, you can see it has launched my H2 console. You can look at my property file. I have specified the database URL as jdbc colon h2 colon mem colon Valan. I haven't set any username password. In case if you want to set the data source username password, yes, you have an option. You can see you have one more property to set your data source username, as well as you have a property called spring.datasource.password to set the password. But right now I am not setting any username and password. So which means by default it will be using my URL is, let me verify. Yeah, my URL is correct as per my property file, and my username is, by default it is SA, because I haven't set any username and password. In case of default, the username is SA, password is empty. Let me connect. You can look at my H2 console. Yes, it is connecting with my embedded database successfully. And you can look at the URL. This is a URL I have specified: jdbc colon h2 colon mem colon. The database name is Valan. So right now you can look at my database. it is a empty database. So right now there is no table in this database. So right now what I am going to do, I'm going to write a JPA code. With the help of JPA code, I'm going to create a table and I'm going to insert one record into that table. So let me disconnect my database and let me stop my application. I mean Tomcat, which is already running. So now what I am going to, I'm going to write my JPA code. Yes, already we have enabled our H2 console and we have given the URL. So first what I am going to do, I am going to create one bean class or Pojo class. Let me say the class name is employee and I will put it in a separate package com.valan dot, let it be Pojo or bean. So now the Pojo class is ready. So in that Pojo class, I have to create three property. The property name must be exactly same as your view page with case sensitive. So I have a view page which is accepting ID, name, salary. The same name I have to give in my Pojo class. So let me give a property int ID, private string name and private int salary. So now I have to define my getters and setters. I'm just making my getters and setters for all the three properties. So now my Pojo class is ready. Yeah. So now my Pojo class is ready. So now what I am going to do, I am going to apply the code which we have already discussed in our Hibernate mapping with annotation. So already I hope you remember our Hibernate mapping with annotation video. So we have discussed how to make a mapping with our Pojo class and the table. But right now in my database there is no table. So what I'm going to give a same annotation. You can look at the code, everything will be same. I mean the annotation, everything will be same. And I'm using another annotation called table. And I will say name of the table should be TBL underscore employee. And first column I will make it as primary key with the help of ID annotation. And I will say as per in my table, name of the first column should be, let it be the same name ID. Or if you want, you can give some other name. That's up to you. But I'm trying to go with the uniform. The same way, I will make a second column name should be name and salary. So now I will save this code and I will run the application once again. I will connect with my database and I will check is there any table created in this name or not. Let us run this application once again. So previously our database was empty, but this time we'll verify whether it is creating a table automatically or not. Okay, so the application is launched. Let me go and check my database alone. We have verified our view page. I will connect with my database and the URL is right. I will connect with my database. Previously it was empty, but right now you can see it is creating a table. It's created a table automatically with the help of my annotation. As per my annotation, I have mentioned table name should be tbl underscore employee and column should be id name salary. You can look at our database. Previously it was empty, but right now it has created one table in the name of tbl underscore employee, which is having three column: id, name, salary. And I'm running this select query right now. It has created a empty table. So now what we are going to do, we are going to insert a record. So finally, with the help of this mapping annotation, so we are actually creating a table automatically. So now what I am going to, I have to write my mapping code. Sorry, I have to write my JPA code. So let us do one thing. So we'll go to our landing page. We have created our GUI, but we haven't mentioned our form tag. So I will say form action should be, let it be insert employee or add employee, whatever it is. You can give any action. So this is just action name. You can give any name. So I will be enclosing with all my GUI under a form tag. And what is the action now? I have action insert employee. So now what I have to do? I have to write a request mapping in my controller. So I will be writing a request mapping. Let me copy paste the previous code and I will say this time it's a mapping for insert employee. Yes, my action is insert employee. And let it be the method name is insert employee object. Any name I can give. And here I have to write my JPA insert code. But before writing that insert code, what I am going to do, you can look at my code. I am either I can create a separate page called uh, insert employee success.jsp and I can redirect to the new page. Right. Either here what I can do after the object is inserted successfully into my embedded H2 database. If I want, I can redirect to a separate page called success.jsp. I have to create one success.jsp. There I have to display employee object inserted successfully. But what I'm trying to do, instead of creating a separate view page, I'm trying to redirect to the same page itself. So that's why you can see the request mapping is insert employee, but I'm creating a model view name as same page landing page. I just want to redirect to the same page itself. It's like our sublet request dispatcher include or JSP at the rate include. I'm redirecting to the same page, but at the same time, before redirecting, I have to send one message. So already in our previous video itself, we have discussed in case of Spring as well as Spring Boot, we have discussed how to send the value to the target page with the help of add object. I will say I want to send one message. So the message is employee object inserted. Some success message I am sending. So still I haven't written my insert code. So I will be writing in a few minutes. So finally, what I'm going to, if the request is coming for insert employee, I'm redirecting to the same landing page by binding a message employee object inserted. How to access this message in my targeting page? Very simple with the help of expression language. So what I will do, I will make one break tag to display in a new line. So here I'm going to access my message with the help of my expression language. What is the name of the property? It is MSG. And look at my controller. Property name is MSG. So I'm giving the same name and I'm just applying some HTML tag as well. I will say color should be green and text should be bold. Just to get some decent output. So finally everything has done. So the remaining one and only thing is I have to write my JPA code. But before writing the JPA code, so first what I have to do, if I want to JPA or Hibernate, both are same. If I want to insert a employee object, first of all I need to fetch ID, name, salary from the GUI page. In case of sublet, what I will do, if I want to read these text box value, I will be coming with request.get parameter of ID, name, salary. I will be reading the value from my GUI page with the help of request.get parameter. After that, I will be creating a bean object, and by using that bean object, I will invoke setter method to set ID, name, salary, so that I will be getting the employee object with ID, name, salary. So that I will pass as a argument in Hibernate save method. You know Hibernate save method is for insert query. So finally, in case of normal programming, sublet programming, I have to write such a big code. I have to read ID, name, salary by using request.get parameter, and I need to create a employee bean object and have to invoke all the three setter method to set the value into the bean object. After that, I will be sending this bean object into my Hibernate save method as an argument. But here, in case of Spring Boot, it is saying that you no need to do all those work. Simply in the argument, you specify your employee object. So that's it. So we no need to get the value manually and no need to set the value manually. Everything will take care by Spring Boot container. Simply I will say from this action I am expecting employee object along with ID, name, salary. So that's the reason in the beginning I mentioned that in the starting page, name of the text box must be exactly mapped with my Pojo property so that automatically it will bind everything. So finally, I will be getting a in my controller, I will be getting a employee object along with ID, name, salary, which I have entered in my text box. So now my employee object is also ready. I mean, my Pojo object is also ready. So now what I have to do, I have to write my insert code. To write my insert code, I am creating a new class. Sorry, not a class. I am going to create an interface. So I will say the interface name is my DAO. Let it be inside a package com.valan.dao package. So DAO is nothing but data access object. DAO is nothing but data access object. In a MVC pattern, usually inside DAO, we will be writing all our database related code. So we will be writing all our database related code. So finally here what I have to do, I have to write my insert code or delete code or update code. But at the same time you can see it's a interface. So which means I cannot define anything. Purposefully I have made it as a interface. So if it is a class, okay, I can write my insert delete functionalities. But now it's an interface where I can declare only a method. So purposely I'm using a interface. The reason is Spring Boot is saying that you no need to write any code for database connectivity, database uh, functionality or operation. You no need to write any code. Simply, it's saying that you extend a predefined interface called CRUD repository. You know what is CRUD? Nothing but your database operation. Create, read, update, delete. So it is saying that my Spring Boot is saying that you simply extend this interface. CRUD repository is a predefined interface. Simply you extend this interface, you will be getting a implementation automatically. So finally, Spring Boot is making our job is very easy. So no XML file configuration and no Tomcat installation required, and there is no need of database installation required. Even you can look at the controller. So there is no binding or reading a data from the GUI. It's making the programmer job was very simple. So finally here in the DAO, I'm just extending CRUD repository. Automatically the Spring Boot will give the definition. But one and only thing is I have to say which type of I'm going to manipulate, which type of object I'm going to manipulate. For example, we are going to manipulate employee object. And what is the type of primary key? As per, let us look at our employee Pojo class. As per our Pojo class, integer type is the primary key. So that primary key type also I have to specify. It's an integer. So that's it. So we no need to write down any code or any implementation. It can be a empty interface. So finally, I am extending CRUD repository and I will say what is my Pojo class and what is my primary key type. That's it. So we no need to write any implementation. So which means who is going to write the implementation? Spring Boot will write the implementation automatically with the help of our employee Pojo class and the primary key type. But you may get a question, how to get the implementation? BS already it's a interface. For interface, if I want to get any implementation, I need to create the object of that particular class. But for interface, we cannot create the object. So then how to get the implementation? How to get the functionality from the implemented class? So you can look at the code, it's very simple. In the controller, I'm creating a reference for my DAO. Let it be DAO. Yes, it's an interface. I can create only reference. I'm creating a reference, but how to get the functionality automatically? Because Spring Boot is creating or implementing the code functionality, but how to get it? It's very simple. You can get it with the help of annotation called auto void. With the help of this auto void annotation, we are getting this implementation functionality from the Spring Boot container. So which mean what? Spring Boot container is going to create an object of that CRUD implementation class on behalf of me. Spring Boot is going to create a object of that implementing class and it is going to inject into our reference with the help of auto wired. So this one will called as dependency injection. You may hear the term. We have in case of Spring and Spring Boot framework, we have a term called dependency injection. What is dependency injection? From outside, Spring Boot container is going to create an object of depending class, and it is going to inject automatically into my code. How it is automatically injecting? Because of at the rate auto void annotation. So this one will called as dependency injection. So now my implementation class is ready. I mean object is injected automatically. So now I can call my DAO dot save. I will say I want to say employee object. That's it. So our entire code is ready. So now what we have to do? We have to run this code and we have to verify whether it is redirecting to the same landing page and it is displaying this success message or not. Also, we have to verify whether it is inserting a record into my table or not. Yes, it has to, because of save method, it has to insert my employee object into my table. And you can look at the DAO. So there is no functionality. Because the functionality I'm going to get automatically by extending crude repository class. So now let us run and we'll verify the outputs. I'm just starting the application once again. Yes, the application is started. Let me first check my database. So let me connect with my database. You can look at my database. I have a employee table, but right now it is the empty table. So there is no record into this table. So now I am going to launch my landing page. Yes, it is launching my landing page successfully. I'm going to insert one record. Let it be ID is 101, name is Valan, salary is, let it be 2000. And the moment I click add employee submit button, it will go to my controller insert employee request mapping. So here it is inserting this object into my table and it is redirecting to the same page along with the message. Already in our landing page we have written a code to catch and display the message. Let us verify it in our output. Also will verify with our table. Yeah, you can see successfully it has redirect to the same page and it is displaying the message employee object inserted. So finally you can see it's look like our uh, sublet request dispatcher include or JSP at the rate include. So very simply we can achieve it with the help of Spring Boot. So that's why Spring Boot is more powerful. We have less number of code. Let us verify with our table as well. Yes, you can see in my table also it has inserted the record successfully. So hope friends we are clear about how to use Spring Boot MVC application and also we are clear about how to use JPA along with embedded H2 database. Thanks friends for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe and click on the bell symbol so that as soon as I upload a new video, you will be getting the notification. Also, you can share it with your friends.